hospice is caring.
Hospice is a great service.
Hospice is peace.
To me, hospice is compassion.
Hospice is 100% compassion, because our nurses, what they give to these patients and their family members, the taxing that they take upon themselves with every patient they treat. You cannot be a hospice nurse, you cannot be a hospice physician or a hospice social worker without having compassion.
We are the people of hope, I think. We have people that smile at us in their last hours, and we know that we give their families peace. And that keeps us coming back every single day. We can make people better, even at end of life.
It is a group of amazing people who are able to balance professionalism and clinical expertise and skill with a tremendous amount of compassion and caring for patients and their families. I marvel at the wonderful staff that we have.
Hospice is about rejoicing that life and expressing oneself. So you live until you die. Hospice is about living. I use clay and paint and drawing as well as journal writing, and that has helped a lot of the adults as well as the children of those families.
Hospice is loving.
And volunteering.
I think the most rewarding part is your interaction with the patients and their families. It only took one visit for me to be hooked and want to go back and care for them and see them again and talk to them again.
I read just a while ago, says that every moment counts, make every moment count, and it gives you a better understanding of both life and death and life after death.
The first hospice in the United States was founded in 1974, and in 1978 was when Dr. Gatovi and his group of concerned citizens got together and decided to try to form a hospice here.
Well, in the very beginning, I became part of the group that worked on planning for a hospice organization and learning about what that would entail.
It grew in bits and pieces over the years, and when I began here in 1998, we had about 70 or 75 patients. We were serving the 5 counties that we are serving today, which is Bladen, Brunswick, Columbus, Pender, and New Hanover. We had just a year before that opened our care center, and we had an average daily census there of maybe 6 or 7 patients.
About 6 years ago, we embarked on a pretty aggressive strategic plan to serve more patients and families. Since that time, we've grown from caring for 100 hospice patients per day to more than 450 per day.
475 today.
475 today.
Our care center here in Wilmington has been running at over 100% capacity. We're submitting and hoping to get a certificate of need to build 6 more beds onto that care center.
In 2008, we built and opened Angel House, which is a 6-bed care center in Whiteville. And in 2009, we built and opened this place, the Phillips Life Care and Education Center here on campus, to enhance our counseling and education services and to house our growing staff.
We also didn't have any place for children's counseling, our adult support groups, and our individual bereavement counselors to see patients individually. Nor did we have a place that we could have a community education conference or anything. So this building is called a Life Care and Counseling Center because it does take care of many needs of patients.
Lorraine Perry, Healing Arts Coordinator for Hospice. It's a program that complements the medical interventions that are done here at hospice by providing an outlet of expression for adults, for youth, for children. I work with a lot of families at the care center where they have a family member who is at the end of life. And so there are what's known as anticipatory grief issues. For family members and close friends, that anxiety is about letting go. So if they have a safe place to talk to somebody who understands what that means in terms of their own grief, then they're a little bit more relaxed about expressing themselves in the art room. They may be inclined to do journal writing or drawing or working with clay, but it's an outlet for expression. The feedback that I've gotten from the nurses and social workers for this particular patient that has been coming recently has been quite remarkable. They see that he has really flourished and gained a lot of passion for life, for everyday life. And so they have requested that he continue to come. So we'll see how it grows, but it's looking like it's a benefit. Word has gotten out that this is a wonderful place to be at the end of your life, and it's a wonderful place for families to get the care that they need for the people they love.
I remember the faces of Lower Cape Fear Hospice. Thousands and thousands of faces. Their stories, their joys and sorrows, their pains, their courage, their grief, and their appreciation. Faces I will never forget. I remember the face of Sandy Morgan, our first patient whose journey was photographed so poignantly by her husband Philip. And I remember so many other patients and families throughout the years.
Sandy was a volunteer, and ironic enough, she also became the first patient for hospice. She found out in the latter part of 1979 that she had hemangiopericytoma.
Sandy was just a beautiful young woman, 27 years old, and she and her husband were so open with us, and we learned so much about what worked and what didn't work, what was helpful and what wasn't helpful. It was just an incredible experience all the way around. They were great people.
It's incredible what hospice has done. Wonderful full-time employees, volunteers, patients and patients' families, and it's just incredible. It's an awesome organization and provides such a glorious service for people in their latter days to be able to die with dignity.
And then volunteers are a very integral part of our team also. They come in and can sit with patients while families run errands and things like that. Sometimes that's the most important piece of what the families want and need.
I remember the faces of the volunteers in our first training class and those who followed, each one giving so willingly of themselves and their time to be of comfort and support for patients and families. Many other volunteers served unselfishly as board and committee members, advisors, and mentors, sharing their expertise and guidance along the way. Volunteers are truly the heart of hospice.
We used to meet down at Ligon Flynn's office, quite often, and discuss plans and how to build the care center and those kind of things. We spent a lot of time together.
The organization started with volunteers because hospice was new, it wasn't paid for. A lot of the work that was done by professionals who were volunteering their time, by supporters who were donating their money. And so the agency as a whole has a history of volunteerism. Through the years, then more and more people have been involved in hospice as volunteers. They provide extra care for our patients and families. They help in our offices. They tell the community about what we do and share it with their friends and their families and their physicians and anybody they come in contact with.
I laid the sprinkling system.
We come over and we planted plants at the care center when it was built, and I was on the building committee for the care center.
Every year we get almost 20,000 hours donated by volunteers. They're contributing that all to better care for our patients and families.
Also, to bridge the gap in end-of-life services, we embarked on a palliative care program that now cares for 160 patients per day.
Palliative care initiative, which is a physician or a nurse practitioner or physician assistant that can see the patients several years out once they're diagnosed with a chronic illness and can begin to do some support and some goal planning with the patient and the family. We began at New Hanover Regional Medical Center, at Cape Fear, at Pender, in about 12 or 13 nursing homes, long-term care facilities in the area. We also see patients in homes in that program.
We also feel like we have an obligation to be a resource to the community, to provide education, to provide resources, to be a member of the community. We are active in lots of organizations beyond our walls.
I remember the faces of our community donors and our fundraising volunteers. I never ceased to be amazed by their generosity. The memorial donations, the annual and capital campaigns, and special events. Just think of all those faces involved in the golf tournaments and the Festival of Trees. The planners, donors, decorators, entertainers, participants, staffers.
The role of the foundation is to support the agency financially, so we help secure gifts from individuals, corporations, grants. We host events. We each year anticipate a deficit with the amount of care that we provide. There are some patients who don't have the financial resources to pay for that care, and so the foundation is there to ensure that those who need our services have access to them.
The early days of no reimbursement for hospice care necessitated reliance on the generosity of the people in the community.
When you talk to people about their hospice experience, so many times they're extremely grateful and they're looking for a way to give back and ensure that that care is available for everyone or the next family. So I think that's why people give so generously, because it's an incredible service to help someone end their life with dignity. Hospice is the most precious gift.
We're allowed into families' lives at a time when they're extremely vulnerable and they really need a lot of support. And to hear people say, your staff came in and said, just leave everything to us, just be a daughter, that it gives them that peace of mind and that ease to not worry as much about all the other things that are going on, the technical things that need to happen and the decisions that have to be made, but they can just sit back and support and love their family. And they all have stories.
She just told the most beautiful story of his time in hospice. She felt that it was such a gift.
I so enjoy hearing their stories about what hospice has meant to them.
She said to me, we wrapped a warm blanket of love around her and her husband.
If they choose hospice, that's often a great gift because we can give them comfort and dignity in their last hours.